Don't you just love a nice fresh blanket? We've had several of these blankets of snow this spring, and I love how it always seems to come straight down. No wind, no drifts. Just settle and lie there. Having said that, we are awfully close to April for it to still be this cool, but we do need the moisture. And nature doesn't seem to mind. These gophers were running all over this pasture, and if you listen you can hear... Yep, that's a coyote barking. These gophers certainly were paying attention. This latest blanket was covering everything in the foothills, except for these little spring-fed creeks. The ducks were paddling through them. But the fields and stuff, yeah, they were pretty much covered. Now that is good moisture, absolutely. Once it all melts and the fields dry up and the seed gets sown again, these white-tailed deer won't have to dig through the stubble just to see if they can find a root to nibble on. Although I gotta say, there were a lot of white-tailed deer around and they certainly didn't look to be suffering. These things are hardy. The further I went toward the mountains, the warmer it became. The snow on the roads was melting and everything was pretty mucky, but I had to stop for this. Could those be mink tracks? I kind of think so. Close by, this bald eagle was watching for gophers, and the Little Red Deer River was burbling along. But the roads I was on was slushy and muddy, so I figured I'd go west just a little bit to see what I could see, and I ran into this familiar family. I last photographed them in May of last year, and I'm so glad to see that they made it through the winter. Especially this little guy. The last time I saw it was a brand new baby, and I thought for sure it was an albino. Turns out it's called a cremello. But no matter what you call it, I'm so glad to see that it made it through its first winter. I stayed with the wild horses for a bit and then drove on up the valley, but the road was so terrible I turned around. Yes, it was pretty, all those bright willows, but enough's enough. I was pretty much done for the day, but then I saw this eagle with a deformed beak, so I had to stop. But I could see there was more snow coming, so I packed it in and headed back to town. Yes, all that snow brings some much needed moisture to the land, and I am really glad to see the creeks filling up. But it's already April, and winter is officially done. So let's melt this latest blanket, get the moisture in the ground, and get on with spring.